Am I the asshole for not giving one of my son's toys to my nephew, causing him to have an hours-long tantrum? We hosted Thanksgiving at my place. My brother, his wife, and their almost 4-year-old son were among the guests. As people were leaving, my brother asked if my nephew could take home one of my 2-year-old son's toy trucks. My nephew had been playing with it non-stop since they arrived and wanted to keep it. My brother said that he'd replace the toy if I told him where I got it. I told my brother that I'd be happy to give him a link to the store where I bought it, but I would not give him the toy then and there. I refused for 2 reasons. Firstly, my brother, sister-in-law have a terrible habit of giving my nephew everything he asks for. He is way too old for that. Secondly, I don't want to reinforce in my nephew that it's okay to just take things he wants. My brother said that my nephew would throw a tantrum if he didn't get the toy then and there, and that everything would be easier if I just let him take the toy and get sent a replacement in the mail. I told my brother that I would not be an enabler for my nephew's bad behavior, and that it's my brother's problem if he throws a tantrum. Of course, the inevitable happened. My nephew started shrieking inconsolably at the top of his lungs and my brother, nephew had to leave. Later that evening I got an angry text from my brother saying that my nephew screamed his head off for the entire 3-hour car ride home and only stopped screaming after he literally passed out from exhaustion. He said that the tantrum was my fault since it would have been completely avoided if I'd just given my nephew the toy, and accused me of backseat parenting, since in his words it's not my place to set an example for his son. My wife thinks we should have just handed the toy over to make things easier, especially since our son has a ton of toys, and is not particularly attached to that specific truck, and would not have noticed it missing for just a couple days. I still maintain that it's well within my rights to set an example for my nephew even if it goes against my brother's parenting style of coddling their son, and that the tantrum is 100% a result of their terrible parenting habits. INFO: how can you backseat parent if there are no frontseat parents? Not the asshole. ETA: holy crap, this blew up. Thank you for all the upvotes, awards, helpful suggestions to put dashes between info. That has an effect, and for understanding what I meant even though my fat fingers put blackseat first. Not the asshole. They are awful parents. The reason their kid threw a fit is because they give in every time the kid throws a fit. New rule. Their kid can't come to your house. Not the asshole. Your brother may think that it's easier to give in to his son's tantrums, but he's starting to reap what he's sown now. The 3-hour tantrum is his own fault for never teaching the kid proper boundaries, and for teaching him that his parents would give him anything if he'd just throw a tantrum. Not the asshole. I had to read this twice, because of the entitlement from your brother and nephew. Holy hell. NTA. Your nephew needs boundaries. Good on you for establishing them at your house. Not the asshole. You didn't enable. They are in for a hell of a life with that kid. He holds the power in house. Fear for them when they are old and he is in charge of them with that temper and selfishness. Not the asshole. This boy throws tantrums, because they work. They work, because his parents always cave. The real assholes are his parents who are setting firm boundaries for what is and is not good behavior. You did not cause this. And almost always you should do what is right instead of doing what keeps the peace. When you keep the peace, the assholes always win. Info. Is your nephew neurotypical? A 3-hour-long tantrum sounds ridiculous even for the most spoiled preschooler. Either he's got truly impressive stamina, your brother is exaggerating, or your nephew has something else going on, known or not. The only way I'd say you were the asshole is if you know nephew has autism. Losing a toy for a few days is probably worth it to avoid a meltdown in a neurodivergent kid who's already significantly out of their routine. Am I the asshole for not wanting to take my niece and nephew to Disney with me and my girlfriend? Using a throwaway as my girlfriend knows my Reddit and I don't want to spoil the surprise. So I, 31F, and my girlfriend, 32F, are planning a trip to Disneyland Paris. Not for any time soon with the pandemic but still planning. Editing to include this as some people were concerned. It's not as big as say Florida but it's closer to us. It's also both our first time going, and as my girlfriend is obsessed with Disney it's where I'm planning to propose to her to make it more special. My sister knows I'm proposing as she helped me pick out the ring and she was very supportive until she found out where I was planning to propose. She doesn't approve of it as we're not kids and has stated that as we're not children it's weird. And how if I wanted to go there I should take her kids who are 10 and 6. I love my niece and nephew but this is a special trip for me and my girlfriend. I explained this to my sister and I thought she understood. But next time I was overseeing her kids they were upset as she had told them about the Disney trip and they couldn't understand why I wouldn't take them. I tried to console them but I felt very put on the spot and upset by this. I ended up leaving not long after and my sister keeps badgering me to take the kids now as they're so upset. The worst part is my girlfriend is starting to feel guilty and wondering if we should just take the kids with us. I can't explain to her why I'm so angry right now as I want to make this a special thing for her. Not the asshole. Your sister is a gigantic asshole. If she wants her kids to experience Disney, she can take them whenever she wants. To tell her kids about Disney with you is emotional abuse. She's terrible. Lol. Let me guess. Your sister hasn't offered to pay for her kids to go there either? Not the asshole. You are never the asshole for refusing to provide a vacation for someone else's kids. Unbelievable. Not the asshole. This is emotional blackmail. Your sister is using her kids to get a break from them. Why did she tell them? Do not back down. Enjoy and congratulations on your future engagement. Disney is the happiest place on earth. Notice that the phrase is not happiest place on earth for kids. Disney has never been just for kids. Your sister is a major asshole for telling her kids knowing your plan. Stick to your guns and don't let them spoil your surprise. Tell your future wife, I'm betting she says yes, that you want her first time at Disney to be about her since she's never been, and bringing the kids would make it hard to experience everything the park has to offer. You can make a plan to bring the nibblings at another time. I used to sell tickets for Disneyland Paris, and I promise you, your sister is the weird one. I sold more tickets to just adults than ones with kids. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. What a selfish, dick move from your sister. She's acting like one of those self-entitled parents. If it's such a big deal to her that her kids go to Disney, then it's 100% on her to make that happen, not you. Not the asshole. Your sister can take her kids to Disney whenever she wants, or did she get banned from entering any and all Disney properties for being an asshole? Not the asshole. Disney is designed for people of all ages. I hate people who think you shouldn't go if you don't have kids with you. There's no reason you and your STB fiancé shouldn't enjoy your trip by yourselves. Shame on your sister for trying to force her kids on you. If she wants them to go so bad, then she can take them herself while the two of you enjoy Disney through a different lens. Geez. That's nuts. A couple's getaway to Disney is much different than one with kids. With kids it's all about them, the type of rides they want to ride, the kind of food they want to eat. And just the flipping expense of the whole thing. Not the asshole. Your sister needs to chill. Now. Am I the asshole for parentifying my child? I have 2 children. One is Austin, 9 male, and one is Beth, 15 female. I'm 40 female. Last night Beth went into my room and broke down crying about this thing called parentification. She also unloaded about school. Apparently it's too stressful. She gets to do it in her pajamas and doesn't have to wake up early for the bus. Don't see her problem. Now for the parentification. I asked her what it was, and she said that it was when a parent used one child to take care of another. She says that I've been doing it since she could remember, and she hated it. I looked it up, but I don't really think having to share her stuff and keep him entertained when we go out counts. Really, I mean it's basically babysitting. My 38 male husband disagrees. He read up on it too, and says that it checks a lot of boxes. He suggested therapy for her. I said I would have to think about it. He also said I should parent Austin more and stop leaving it to Beth. So, this is my experience. Please tell me, am I the asshole here? Alrighty. It's been a hectic day for everyone in my family, so I figured I would give an update. Thank you all so much for giving me the wake-up call I needed. I got some lovely DMs explaining some things to me. But I do think that the person who said that they hope my husband leaves me and I drink myself to not breathe the same air as them, and the literal death threats were overboard, but I digress. Also, everyone seemed to have an extreme love for cussing me out. I had a long talk with Sam, then one with Austin. I deeply apologized to Sam for not parenting my child and abusing her. I told her that I would replace every item he broke and compensate her for unpaid babysitting. If she wishes, then she may get therapy. She said that she does want it. I promised that her therapy would be my first concern. I told Austin that I hadn't been a good parent, and Sam wouldn't be babysitting him. I also grounded him because of breaking Sam's things. Then I talked to my husband. He doesn't want to leave me and in fact still loves me very much. We both agreed on couples therapy, however, as there are a few things to work out. I realized that I was carrying on my mother's parenting, and as I research more I now know that she was heavily abusive. I need to end the cycle and it will end now. And a few more things. By think about therapy, I meant that it was late and I would need to research and find the best therapist. Sam told me more about her school and I realized that the pandemic hit everyone in my family hard. Sam says that she really wants to do in-person school, so I said that she would be enrolled next year. Thank you again, and I hope all of your lives are fulfilling. From the way you write is clear you don't even want to understand her. You don't even explain what she does. You're not even trying to see her side. But when your own husband tells you you should actually parent your child instead of leaving it to your daughter, try listening instead of looking for validation on the internet. You are the asshole. You are the asshole. Can you actually tell us what her complaints are? You only given us one instance, but does she have examples? Edit. She can never feel peaceful. I haven't felt peace from when she was born. Yeah, that alone makes you an ass in my eyes. Yeah, it's tough being a parent, but don't make that her problem. Sounds like you already have a favorite child and it ain't Beth. Your child wants therapy and is desperately unhappy. Why would you want to withhold therapy from her? My dad didn't want me to have therapy because he knew he was a big part of the problem. Is that your priority here, how you look? The fact is you'd rather delay help to your child, rather than risk thinking that maybe you've behaved unfairly. And you never know, maybe you haven't parentified your daughter. You're unwilling to risk hearing it from a professional. You are prioritizing your wants over your child's needs. If you choose to let your daughter suffer and ignore your husband, don't expect to have a good relationship, if one at all, with them in the future. You are the asshole. You are the asshole. Why is it her responsibility to babysit your kid? You're the parent. Do your job instead of forcing it on her. He read up on it too, and says that it checks a lot of boxes. Also, the fact that your husband said this makes it pretty clear that there's more to it than babysitting and sharing. You are the asshole. I am really concerned about the language you're using for your daughter here. She's coming to you telling you these things and you're not believing her, brushing her off, saying she shouldn't be stressed cause she gets to wear pajamas. Never mind the attitude towards therapy. This is an awful attitude to have. You need to check yourself, really listen to your daughter and husband, and start working to fix things. Your child broke down and you're invalidating their experiences. You are the asshole, 100%. Have your husband talk to her and ask her what she would like. Obviously you won't listen to her feelings, but an older sibling should not be responsible for babysitting constantly, especially without their consent. And honestly, I'm guessing it's more than that. Based on how you're minimizing everything that she talks about in your post, you are the asshole. Parentification is child abuse. Parents who minimize the suffering of their children are abusive. I said I would have to think about it, regarding therapy for your suffering child. It's obvious that you don't really care about your children at all. Strong. You are the asshole. Even your husband said to raise your own kid and stop making your daughter do it. Your daughter only gets to be a child once. She will have plenty of time to be an adult later in life. She didn't choose to have children, you did. Quit being lazy and handle your business. Let your daughter be a kid. Am I the asshole for refusing to let my parents move in and reminding them that they backed the wrong horse? My 37 male family comes from and is a long line of doctors. Being a doctor is the only acceptable profession in their eyes, and anything aside from that is met with literal abandonment. Which is what happened to me when I turned 17 and told my family I was not going to be a doctor but to build an acting career, social media career. YouTube wasn't huge then, and supplement my income with small business endeavors. When I told my family this, they kicked me out and we subsequently lost contact for 17 years. During time they moved to the UK and my sister became a doctor and my older brother got into a very competitive stream for surgery. Neurosurgery, specializing in spinal tumor diagnosis and removal, which he has now finished. We reconnected when COVID hit and they told me they were moving back to Sydney for lifestyle reasons and because my brother has found a $750,000 a year job. During the last 2 years they never asked me how my acting career, social media stuff went, and basically assumed I was just slumming in at Sydney. To their credit, they were correct in that I didn't make it big in acting. Maybe the world wasn't ready for a mainstream leading role Indian. Or make it at all. I did, however, make it big, as an investment banker and recently made partner at the bank I work. This came to head on Friday when I met them for house shopping. I walked to meet them, and when they asked about my car, I just said I preferred to walk, and they realized the areas they wanted to live, despite being highly paid medical professionals, simply wasn't going to be happening, as the houses cost north of $20 male. When we decided to call it a day and regroup, they suggested going to my place before going out to dinner. When we arrived at my house, they thought I was renting a room and inquired how much rent was. I informed them that I wasn't renting and that this was my house. They lost their shit, accusing me of lying to them for years and only meeting up to rub their face in my, probably illegally gained, wealth, and capped it off by informing me that they'll be living with me now instead of with my oldest brother, since they can't be seen living in a worse house than their son. I laughed at them and reminded them that they bet on my brother and sister, not me, and that they have a better chance of living with my neighbors than me. At that point they threatened to cut me out of their will, to which I reminded them of the fact that they can't even afford to buy at my area, so their will and assets don't really matter to me. Now they aren't talking to me, and my brother and sister are saying I should have been proactive in letting them know of my success. I have a public LinkedIn profile, so they literally never Googled me. Edit. Getting a lot of hate about including the term social media influencer in my post. To clarify, this was 19 years ago, and I believe social media influencer is probably the updated term for socialite. I wanted to be famous, but I had no real skills or plan as to how I was going to achieve that goal. Like most social media people. Edit 2. A lot of people are critical that my family just kicked me out or that it's unlikely a parent would do this. Obviously I wasn't a great child in their eyes in general, and this was the final straw, so to speak. Also, Desi parents are a different level of parents. From washing your father's feet, to not speaking unless spoken to, not allowed to talk to opposite sex, and viewing the head of house as an almost god figure, it's a bit different. Desi parents are also incredibly strict. Not like your room needs to be clean strict, but like clean the entire house, wash the cars, wash iron everyone's clothes, or you are getting beaten with a broom. For the people talking about house prices, yeah, Sydney is whack. House prices jump around a bit too, of course, but generally speaking, if you live in a house on the harbour, it wasn't cheap. Our former PM lived in a $70 male to $90 house at Point Piper. Not the asshole. Let them know you're successful? Why? So they'd talk to you again simply to see what they can get out of you. Thanks but no thanks. You handled this just right. Not the asshole. Sorry that they are not interested in you as a person but only as a status symbol. Very sad. Congratulations on your great career though. They cut you out when you informed them that you were refusing to fit into the mold that they wanted you to fit into. They spat on your goals, even if the acting gigs didn't pan out, and then cut you out of their lives until it was convenient for them to have you back in their lives. You owe your parents no updates on your success when they had made it clear that they were not willing to support any other routes to success if it wasn't what fit their rigid definitions. From one child cut out of their parents' wills because of petty drama to another, you are not the asshole. I'm going to assume the parents wanting to live with you, their adult child, is a culture thing because that seems odd. Anyway, NTA. You don't owe them anything. Not the asshole. They made their bed, now they can lie in it. Good for you. This sounds made up. Not the asshole, and I highly doubt anyone calling this fake has ever lived in an old school-minded Indian family. Not the asshole, and living well is the best revenge.